Hey friends, it's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. I'm grateful to have you here to create some holiday tags with me. I'm going to be using some different stamps and dies from Pretty Pink Posh, like this Merry Script die, the mini scallop card dies, and the Christmas cupcake stamps and coordinating dies. I also have quite a bit of different colored pattern paper and cardstock that I'll be using today. I have some 6x6 sheets of holiday paper in rainbow colors. I have a piece of this metallic kind of mirror silvery cardstock as well as some white sparkle cardstock that I'll use for cutting out my sentiment. The pattern paper will be the smaller square die from the mini scallop card die set. And then I have pink, orange, yellow, teal, blue, and purple cardstock that I will use to cut out the actual mini scallop card. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick off camera. Here you can see all of my different little mini note cards. I'm going to use these to create my tags today. I also have my squares die cut out. I have two of each of the different patterns, and I'm going to keep that one with the trees to help me with picking out some alcohol marker colors. I also die cut Mary 6 times out of that silver cardstock and the white sparkly glitter cardstock. I have my stamps all ready to go in my MISTI. I did use the dies, I haven't cut them apart yet, to place my stamps onto my MISTI and a piece of white cardstock. And I actually wanted my stamps to have a light gray outline or a gray outline, but I don't have an alcohol marker friendly gray ink. So I stamped them twice with the ink on 3's Fadeout No Line coloring ink, and that was just so it would be dark enough that I could see. And I'm not going to take my stamps out of my MISTI because I will use them again when I'm done coloring. So I'm going to quickly go through my coloring here. I'm using Ohuhu Art Honolulu B alcohol markers, and I'm going to start with coloring items where I already know what the colors are going to be, like things that are brown. My snowman's arms, the trunk of my Christmas tree, the antlers and ears of my cute little reindeer, as well as my gingerbread cookie. Next, I'm going to do some skin tone coloring of my Santa cupcake, and I'm using some darker colors. I like to make sure that I don't just color my Santa my skin tone color every time. I want to make sure I have some variation in my stash of people, including Santa Claus himself. And I'm just using a skin tone color combination that I usually use for more tan looking Santas or people. I also know what I want to be white on my card, so I'm using some grays to color in the white details of my Santa cupcake, like on his hat, his mustache and beard. And I was originally going to also color in my snowman cupcake with these same color combinations, but then I end up deciding that I actually think I want my snowman to be blue, like a light blue, so I'm going to forego coloring any more gray colors on my snowman. I'll come back later with blues. And then for the lightest color of anything white, I'm using my colorless blender just to soften out those gray lines, and then it bleeds into the rest of the open area a little bit more, but it will dry back quite a bit. So it looks light gray right now, but by the time I'm done, it will be lighter. Then for my Santa hat, there's these little tiny circles, like kind of like a sprinkles on the cupcake. So I colored those in green, and then I'm going to move into a pinkishy red for the Santa hat and other items in red on my cupcakes. Now, I am not very good at no line coloring. I'm impatient. I don't have the patience to be extra careful, especially coloring around tiny little images like those little circles. So I will say, if you are an expert at no line coloring, you'll notice here that I am not. But I know that I'm going to stamp these images again after I'm all done coloring with that gray ink, the Morning Mist VersaFine Clair. So I know that I don't need to be perfectly staying in the lines, because that second round of stamping that I'll do when I'm done coloring is going to help me it's going to be a little more forgiving with my staying in the lines for coloring. Now, if you love no line coloring, I hope this still brings you a little bit of inspiration today. You'll notice that I completely cover eyes and everything when it comes to coloring because I know I'm going to be stamping, but I still hope these color combinations, might help with some holiday inspiration, especially if you also use Ohuhu art markers like myself. Um, so after I'm done coloring in the things that I know that are going to be red, I'm moving on to coloring in the items that I know are green. And here I'm doing the little carrot of my snowman in orange. So I wasn't really sure how I wanted to color everything yet, so I just started with colors in areas where I knew what they were going to be no matter what. And then I started coloring, what could be various in different colors. So I wanted to incorporate more green on a cupcake, so I colored in the polka dots of my gingerbread cupcake. And since the sprinkle details were snowflakes, I thought I would do a blue frosting. That way the snowflakes, look like they're falling in a blue sky. At least that's what the hope I'm going for. And I will say again, I left all my coloring in of this cupcake frosting because I did do my best to go around and color around the snowflakes. Same for my gingerbread. I definitely went out of the lines for the white frosting. But when I'm all done coloring, I will bring out a white gel pen and add white gel pen to details like my gingerbread frosting and the snowflakes on this cupcake because again, I'm not a very patient colorist and I definitely go over the lines. I do my best, but I just give myself grace because I know that it will look better when I stamp in gray. So I also use those blues for my snowman, and then I'm reaching for more blue, violet, purples. As you could see, the trees on the pattern paper next to me, as well as the cardstock that I used to cut out my purple tag mini card base. It's definitely a more blue than a pink purple. So using more lavender and a softer purple to color in this cupcake liner. And then I'll actually use the same purple color combination to color the frosting for my Christmas tree cupcake. But just doing my best to grab colors that match the cardstock and the pattern paper that I chose. I'm bringing in some peachy pinks to color in my reindeer's ears and to give my Santa a little bit of rosy cheeks. And for the reindeer, I thought about doing chocolate frosting, but I didn't want it to be too dark. So we're going for more of a buttercream frosting look here, more of an off-white color. So I did grab some yellow reds, which are more of a yellow orangey tone to color in my reindeer because I still wanted it to be brown, but I didn't want it to be like gross looking, if that makes sense. I still wanted it to look like a cupcake and appetizing. So I thought trying to find a buttercream color would be better than having a really dark chocolate reindeer cupcake when the rest of my cupcakes and the rest of my products I'm using are very more colorful and bright. So that's why I have a light brown reindeer frosting. For the, I almost called them reindeer again. For the candy canes, I was going to do a traditional red and white, but I thought it would be more fun to color them rainbow. So I'm just grabbing one color from each of the different card pieces that I'm using. So like a pinky red, orange, yellow, light blue, dark blue, and purple, and colored those candy cane in to be similar to those colors. So I've already done all the color combinations except for a dark blue. So I finished coloring in my cupcakes, and then for the final frosting, I am using a darker blue combination to, again, try to match my cardstock and the pattern paper as best as I can. This has little Jimmy sprinkles on it, so I will grab green again and color those in before I come in with my second tone. For most of my coloring, I think except for the red and white, I did my best to just choose 2 colors to color everything in, a darker and a lighter. I do like 3 when I have a more, wide open coloring area, but I just wanted it to be nice and simple as I'm making holiday tags. I certainly hope my holiday tags get reused after they're put onto gifts or treats, but I didn't want to dedicate too much time as I know a lot of holiday tags get recycled or tossed, which is horrible, I know. But I'm hoping that they like these holiday tags and maybe they'll hang them up as an ornament. But I just wanted to keep it nice and clean and simple with 2 colors without getting too detailed in my coloring, just because of that risk of a holiday tag getting tossed, which I know, of course, who would toss out beautiful handmade holiday tags? I hope no one ever. And now that all my coloring is done, I'm putting it right back into my MISTI in the same corner. And then I'm going to double check. Sorry, do you see the top of my head here? But make sure it looks good because this is the risky part. And I'm stamping with that Morning Mist VersaFine Clair, again, a gray ink, and stamping right on top of my images. And you'll see here how nice and clean they look now that there is a solid line. You can see my hands do a happy dance. I'm so happy with how they turned out. I think the coloring looks really nice, and you can't really tell how poorly I colored in the lines while I was coloring with the no line coloring detail ink. I'm using the coordinating dies to cut them out, and now we're finally going to start putting our holiday tags together. I'm going to start with gluing together the silver and the white sparkly cardstock sentiments together. I didn't bother poking out all of the excess, the cutouts in between the Y and the E and the R, so I'm just poking those out with a poking tool. And I'm going to glue it so the silver is a little bit of a shadow behind the white sparkly cardstock. I'm going to grab some tweezers to help me hold that sparkle cardstock in place, and I'm using some glue with a very fine point tip to add glue behind the sentiment. Once I have the word fully covered, I'm just going to use my finger to tap off some of the glue. I don't want, glue kind of squeezing out while I'm trying to glue these 2 layers together and making a huge mess, so I tapped a little bit off. And then I am layering the 2 Marys together, and I'm just off centering them a tiny bit so that silver kind of pokes out towards the bottom right of my white sparkle cardstock Mary. And once it's attached, here's a little close-up of how pretty it looks together. I love the sparkles and the shine behind it. So I'll go ahead and do that for all 6 sentiments for my tags. I'm going to lay out the different colors that I have, and first I'm going to start with figuring out what cupcake I want with each color. I know I didn't want, a red or an orange cupcake on the purple or whatever. Like, I wanted to look at the designs and line up how I colored my cupcakes to what I think they'll look best with for the colored cardstock. So I'm going to go around, I'm going to choose what I think will look nicest. And then once I'm happy with the order, next I'm going to figure out what pattern paper I think looks best. I wanted the trees to go with the Christmas tree, and I knew I wanted snowflakes to go with my snowman and my snowflake cupcake, so just kind of figuring out what I thought would look best for the rest of them. So now that I have my order, I'm going to do my best to keep all of my different pieces in the same color order. And I will work on scoring my first holiday tag. And I'm going to grab a tape runner and I'm going to add some adhesive on the back side of my pattern paper square. My adhesive was for some reason not centered on my little roller here, so I'm struggling a bit, but I get it going. And just adding adhesive to all 4 sides and then a couple across the diagonal of the square. I'm going to make sure my trees are pointing towards the score line because that's the top of my tag. And then I'll repeat that process for the rest of my 6 tags. Now, I didn't really want to put any foam adhesive on anything. I just thought I wanted to keep them nice and simple so they can hang off of a present very easily and then hopefully get moved to a Christmas tree or reuse for another gift the following year. So I am just going to do everything with liquid adhesive. So I'm going to start by gluing down my cupcakes first, and I'm using my Merry sentiment as a guide so I know where I want to place the cupcake. I don't want it to be completely covered by my sentiment, but I want it centered on the square. And then just the same as how I glued my 2 layers of Merry together, I'm using that fine point tip to add adhesive behind my sentiment and then placing it onto my card, little mini tag card base. So I'll do that for all 6 tags again. And they're done. They look so cute. I love them. Here is where I'm using that white gel pen to try and fix any of my areas where the white was accidentally covered with alcohol marker. And I'll also add some highlights to various areas around my cupcakes. And then I'm going to turn one of them into a tag. So I'm going to grab, I think, one of my favorite ones, this teal one. And you can either, staple it on top of a goodie bag. Maybe you're putting treats together, but I plan on using these as my gift bag tags. So I'm going to take a hole punch. This one is 1/8 of an inch, and I'm punching it into the corner of my tag. I have some kind of a natural white color and silver twine. I've had it forever. Honestly, I forgot who makes it, but I'm sure you have twine in your stash somewhere. And I'm going to cut a piece to wrap through the hole, and then I'll make a little knot at the top of my string, making sure to leave space that it can be used as an ornament. And then I didn't want to tie the knot too tight, so I could even open it later and tie it around a gift bag or something. And that's what my holiday little tag is going to look like. I think it's so cute. So let me gather all these tags up, and then I will show you what they look like a little bit more up close so you can see how cute these turned out. We have our purple tag with our gingerbread cupcake, the light blue reindeer, dark blue cupcake, our Santa on yellow, snowman on orange, and a bunch of trees on that pinkishy, kind of shiny pink cardstock. Here's one more close-up look at the tags. I hope you had fun with me today and that you make some quick and easy little holiday tags for your gifts as well this season. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!